In today's news, Supervisor of Elections speaks on eligibility. Olympic Committee members attend a women's sports forum in Panama. Rotary International invites peace program applications. The governor updates on next steps following audits. NLBC to host Gospel Showcase fundraiser, and we celebrate International Women's Day 2023. All these stories and more when To It for News returns.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from To It for News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites. It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.
Welcome viewers to the March 8th edition of To It for News. I am Jacques Whitting, bringing you the latest out of the British Virgin Islands. Thank you so much for joining us. In a recent exclusive interview with our news desk, the Supervisor of Elections addressed the eligibility of candidates in the upcoming general elections.
Well, the preparations has been an ongoing process. Persons mainly focus on the key period which we are in now, but essentially as soon as the election ends, preparations begin because you have the post-election audit. You then begin the planning for the next election cycle. You begin reviewing the legislations and planning and preparing workers, updating your procedures and the like. So it's a continuous process. Okay. It's just not this defined period that we're currently moving into.
So in this defined period, with elections being expected to be called very soon, how prepared would you say the office is for the upcoming elections?
Well, we will be responding to whatever comes our way. So I would say we are in a heightened state of preparation, and we will continue our efforts towards whatever the election date, when it's announced, will be.
Additionally, she clarified what would disqualify an individual from running for public office.
Well, we are still operating under the present act. There was a first reading of a bill that was taken before the House for possible amendments. I would assume that the second and third reading would be had before the House is constitutionally due to be dissolved, which would be by next week, Sunday, the 12th of March.
And would that lend a way for an updated act going into the elections?
It would lend a way for updated provisions to the existing act.
What are some of those provisions that would come about as a result of the update?
Well, some of the provisions would be in relation to the availability of the list, being it available electronically. It will be in respect to advanced voting, who would be eligible, increasing the categories of voters to include candidates, medical doctors, nurses, emergency technicians, as well as prison officers, as well as the friends who may assist elderly voters or physically incapacitated voters on advanced polling day.
Speaking on the matter of criminal charges and whether persons can still run for public office, she stated the following.
The deadline for registration and transfers, that date will be 2 days after the House dissolves. Okay. Whatever date that will be.
Whatever date that is. And again, you have 2 days after the House dissolves to
update business the list.
Days. Okay.
Recently, Ms. Griffin met with new candidates to brief and answer questions or concerns. She spoke on how that meeting went.
It is very important because it's an ongoing process. Over the years, from the last time the list would have been updated would have been in September 2022. Persons may have moved, new persons might have been added, and you are expected to see those changes reflected on the preliminary list. So to ensure that that change, whatever it may have been, has been reflected, you are encouraged to inspect the list. Additionally, it also provides persons the opportunity, if you see someone's name that appears on the list and you have information or reason to believe that their inclusion on the list in that particular polling division or electoral district is incorrect, you have the right to file an objection to their inclusion on the list within the claims and objections period.
Okay.
So for that reason, it is important. That is another mechanism whereby you can allow and help the office to maintain the accuracy of the list.
And of course, that would include persons who might have passed away as well,
As
making
well,
sure that
yes.
their names have been removed from the list.
Yes, and we'll encourage persons if they do see a deceased relative or a friend and they have information that they can contact the office and provide a copy of the death certificate or the obituary or a copy of the funeral booklet and particulars so that we can go through the process to have them removed.
In other news, BVI Olympic Committee President Mr. Ephraim Penn and Member-at-Large Ms. Gloria Foy are in attendance at the first Women in Sport Forum in Panama. The forum, which is being hosted by the Panama Sports Women in Sport Commission, commenced on Tuesday and ends today, March 8th. It is aimed at tackling the biggest issues and challenges concerning equality in sport and to present strategies to increase representation at every level in national Olympic committees and sport federations. President Penn and Ms. Foy joined sport leaders from the other 41 member countries of Pan Am Sports under the theme Joining the Path for Change. Some of the topics include safe sport, increasing representation, empowerment, best practices, equality and inclusion. That would be covered by presentations by leaders in the field, as well as interactive panel discussions and workshops. Up next, Rotary International invites peace program applications, and the governor updates on the next steps after recent audits. These stories and more after a word from our sponsors.
Is that my lunch? Is that my lunch?
We're like the coworker that doesn't eat your lunch.
I'm John. I'm John.
CG Insurance. Good like that.
There are many ways to enjoy life. Like so many ways to count on Popular.
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top-Up Turn-Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top-Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top-up or?
Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. Each year, Rotary awards fully funded fellowships for dedicated leaders from around the world to study at one of their peace centers. Recently, Chair of the District 7020 region for Rotary International Peace Fellowship, Dr. Alison Flax-Archer, provided an overview.
First of all, thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome.
Ron. And the Rotary Peace Fellowship Centers is really a network of peace builders and leaders throughout communities. And I happen to be the Rotary Peace Fellowship Chair for District 7020. So one of my missions is to essentially get the information out there, which is fantastic information because it deals with scholarship.
Beautiful.
Now, persons that are wishing to experience a master's degree program or a certificate program within the area of peace building, conflict resolution, are persons that we're looking for to apply for this scholarship.
Remarkable. Before we get into that, explain to us the region, District 7020. What areas does that cover?
Okay, the region covers St. Thomas, Tortola, Haiti. We have Cayman Islands as well. St. Croix also falls within. The Bahamas is also there. I might be missing one or two. But that's okay. Tortola, the British Virgin Islands, is in that district, so it's all great. And of course, Jamaica.
Through academic training, practice, and global networking opportunities, the Rotary Peace Centers program develops the capacity of peace and development professionals to become effective catalysts for peace. The fellowships cover tuition and fees, room and board round-trip transportation, and internship and field study expenses.
When persons think on conflict resolution, they're thinking on, okay, I need to be in law enforcement only. Yes, that is a fantastic area of expertise to be in as it relates to conflict resolution. However, we have lawyers that fall within that category. We have healthcare practitioners, teachers / educators. So I look at peace and conflict resolution as being an extremely broad area because I believe that everything that we do, even what you're doing in journalism, being fantastic in what you do, you fall into that peace building and conflict resolution category. You can be a starter or you can be a person that puts out the fires, to say.
Correct.
Yeah.
Dr. Flax Archer also spoke on eligibility.
So the master's degree program, they accept 50 persons.
Wow.
50, so that's quite a bit. And then the certificate program is 10 per center. There are 7 centers throughout the world. We've got a center in Japan, Thailand, and Thailand is particularly interesting, so I'll tell you about that in a minute. We've got 2 in the US. One is Duke University, by the way, and the other is North Carolina. We've got a center in Australia as well, and the latest one is in Uganda. So we've got centers throughout the world, and they're not Rotary universities, but they're universities that specialize or have a very specific program in peace and conflict resolution, which makes the partnership with Rotary all the better.
She further addressed how many scholarships are available.
They need to have a conversation with me. There is also a self-check to see, am I really eligible? So it's just a quick link that asks a few questions to see if you are the right fit for the program. They can also have a conversation with me, and I will give my email address so that persons can contact me. And then there's an interview. There's an endorsement that would take place by myself and the district governor. And then the applications will go to Rotary International. Now, it's extremely important for me to say that candidates should be proficient in English. A number of candidates have applied in the past that were not able to have a conversation once they got to that international level. So it's important. And even as it relates to the peace centers are located in all parts of the world, but the courses are in English, so they need to be English speaking or proficient in English. Of course, a second, third, fourth language is wonderful, but being proficient in English, they need to be leaders in their area. They need to be persons that are willing and able to align themselves with one of our 4 Rotary clubs and to assist in the work that we are supposed to be doing as it relates to, yes, service, but also peace building. As Rotarians, we are stalwarts of peace, and I think that's really important.
For the entire interview, visit all 284 media platforms. In other news, the audit into the government's assistance grants programs has found that members of the public have abused deficiencies in the program for personal gain. More in this report. An audit into the assistance grants program administered by the Premier's office found that a lack of adequate controls to ensure appropriate due diligence in making decisions on awards fostered an environment in which applicants could and have abused the program. The audit detailed various instances in which members of the public are believed to have abused the deficiencies in the program for personal gain. It found that on multiple occasions, members of the same family applied and were granted assistance for the same purpose. It was in one of these instances that 3 members of the same family submitted similarly worded letters requiring $30,000 in assistance in the same week to settle outstanding legal fees. The audit found that all 3 applications were approved for the full amounts and disbursed without any evidence that the debt existed. In another instance, detailed in the report, a woman is said to have requested $30,000 assistance to inject equity into a building project in order to secure a mortgage. She was awarded half the amount. The audit found that the following year, however, the applicant used the same letter to make an identical request and was awarded the full amount. cumulatively receiving $45,000 from the program when her need was only valued at $30,000. The report said, "This we find to be abusive on the applicant's part and negligent on the premier's part, as proper accountability and due diligence was not performed." For 284 News, I am Jacques Wooding. Governor John Rankin recently provided an update on what will unfold now that the audits into Claude Skelton Klein's consultancies and the easy shipping contracts have been debated in the House of Assembly. The most important of which, he said, is to make note of the lessons learned. More in this report. Governor John Rankin has concluded that both audits recently laid before the House of Assembly have evidenced failure in good governance. The two audits he spoke of surrounded contracts granted to Claude Skelton Klein for consultancy and to Easy Shipping for the use of static marine platforms. On the heels of concerning conclusions in both reports, the governor has made the relevant request with the Attorney General, Director of Public Prosecutions, and the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force to determine if the territory should proceed with a recovery of government funds and whether there were any criminal offences committed.
Both of these audits show failures in good governance and improper use of public funds. In terms of next steps, I have forwarded the report on the contracts with Claude Skelton Klein to the Attorney General's office for the Attorney General to assess whether the government should pursue recovery of funds spent on these contracts, and I have also asked the Director of Public Prosecutions and the police to assess if any offences were committed. I have similarly forwarded the Easy Shipping report to the Attorney General's office for assessment of whether the government should pursue recovery of any amounts paid to Easy Shipping, and I have asked the DPP and the police to assess whether any offences were committed with respect to the engagement of the marine platforms.
In addition to these ongoing assessments, the governor has stressed that one of the most important steps moving forward is consideration of the lessons learned from this process.
The most important thing is that lessons are learned from these audit reports, that we implement their recommendations, and that we put the checks and systems in place to ensure that any mistakes, missteps or wrongdoing that has occurred is not repeated. That is what the reform process following the Commission of Inquiry report is about. Ensuring that public funds are properly used for the benefit of the people of the territory and not misused.
For 284 News, I am Jacques Wooding. Senior Pastor Javon Klein and First Lady Roma, along with members of the NLBC, will be hosting a grand gospel concert this Friday, March 10, 2023, at the church sanctuary in Dove's Bottom, Tortola. The concert will feature renowned gospel artists, Sinka, and local greats. Recently, Pastor Javon Klein exclusively spoke to our news desk about the upcoming concert and the proceeds for which will benefit. He began by highlighting the educational facets of the church.
It's great, again, to be here, and it's something whenever I think about the things that the church has been able to do. One of those things are the investment in education that the church has made, both locally and internationally. So the church actually has a daycare and a preschool that has been functioning for over 20 years.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's really something good, and it's something that has really gained some international acclaim, and it's providing education in a format that is not traditional.
Okay.
It's not stuck in a box, and the results are
good.
great. And internationally, this church has built a school in Kenya, and right now we're working on building a school in Malawi. So this event, this occasion where we're coming together, we're gonna have a great time in gospel and just that atmosphere of worship with an amazing artist. It's also, like you said, gonna be the opportunity where we get to raise some funds for these initiatives to make sure that we're giving these kids everything, that we can give them all the resources that they need, make sure the teachers are being provided with whatever training and resources and the tools to make sure that we can do more for them without asking the parents to have to pay more.
He also spoke about the church's cherished African mission and why it is so important to members of the NLBC.
I think is a big part of our identity. Africa is a whole continent to itself, and hopefully, as time goes on, we'll be able to touch the vast amount of countries that they have there right now. We're just in Kenya and Malawi, and the length of time and investment that our bishop has poured into his time and his experience at Kenya, it goes beyond what words can express. Honestly, lives have been changed, both for them in Kenya and for us here at the church, because we're able to understand now how different people live and appreciate different cultures. So it's been an education for us to see, what our brothers and sisters are living through or living with in some areas of Kenya. And for them, of course, we make it our duty and do our best to make sure that their lives are changed through the resources that are provided, the buildings that we can build up, and for some even having the opportunity to move to the BVI or move to a different part of the world with the different networking opportunities that we have, to give them a chance to expand themselves and then give back to their country, because we don't want to just be the type of church that just gives people fish. We're going to teach you how to fish so you can go out and get the fish for your family.
He also provided information about the admission to the concert.
The general admission is $40. You can get all tickets you can get at the Save the Seed Center or the New Life Baptist Church. That is not just on Sundays. We have an admin office. We're open throughout the week. So you can come to the New Life Baptist Church or Save the Seed, get a ticket. General admin is $40, and we also put together a VIP experience.
All right, tell us about that.
VIP experience is going to cover not just the concert, but a 2-day span. So from Thursday to Friday, you're going to be experiencing some things that just the person who's getting the $40 ticket will not have the privilege to experience. So it's going to start off with a reception cocktail affair where you get to enjoy a social space with Sinach. The ticket is also going to come with a free copy of her book.
Beautiful.
And the opportunity to have her sign it, and you get a picture with her. And then, of course, on the day of the concert, you're gonna have VIP seating.
Of course.
So you're gonna be up close and personal. We're making sure that we reserve those seats. Now the VIP tickets are limited. The VIP tickets are limited. I think we have about 60 VIP tickets.
Okay.
So you have to make sure if you're gonna do VIP, if you want to be a part of the social
2-day experience,
with Sinach, and get the book and have that opportunity to just be one-on-one with the woman herself.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's 60 tickets VIP, and that one is for $120. So you get the reception cocktail, the book signing, photograph, and then the VIP seating for $120.
All worth the cost, definitely.
Yeah. For the full interview, visit all 284 media platforms. Up next, a special segment on International Women's Day 2023, right after a word from our sponsors.
Happy Women's Day to all the women of the British Virgin Islands. Today I salute those women who, like my mother, find themselves working sometimes 2-3 jobs to make ends meet. I salute the women of the legislature, those who have gone ahead, we remember them. People like Miss Ethelyn Smith, Honorable Ethelyn Smith, Honorable Dolores Christopher, and we salute our own Mrs. Eileen Parsons, the indefatigable, full of energy, cultural icon, everything in one. I want to recognize our entrepreneurs. I remember entrepreneurs like Portia Harrigan, who has brought a different kind of experience in dining to the BVI. She works very hard. Portia, congratulations to you. Alexandra Durant, who again goes from strength to strength. Her staycation, I see her running back and forth just to make sure that her business succeeds. And I know my sister is going to really wring my neck for shouting her out, but Debbie, You keep us all at the cutting edge of fashion. And I know it's a very, very challenging life, but you all as women do it so well. Again, happy Women's Day to all of you. Whatever you're doing, take a few minutes, enjoy this day, savor yourselves as women who just have to be so many things to so many people, whether it's a spouse, a partner, a teacher, a trainer, so many things, an economist, whatever you want to call it. But you do so many things. Women, you rock.
Welcome back, viewers, and thank you so much for staying with us. We dedicate this final portion of today's newscast to International Women's Day 2023. We start things off with this report. Throughout the month of March, 284 Media and CCT joined the world in the celebration of Women's History Month. Let's talk about it. March is designated as a month of particular opportunity to honor trailblazing women who have and continue to make a positive impact in the world and pave the way for generations to come. The peak of this month's celebrations is International Women's Day, annually celebrated on March 8th. This year, International Women's Day challenges us all to imagine a gender-equal world, a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination. A world that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. A world where difference is valued and celebrated. Together, we can forge women's equality, and collectively, we can all embrace equality. We want to see you celebrate women's achievements, and we are doing our part by recognizing the many amazing women who are part of our team at 284 Media and CCT. This year, we shine a special light on Mrs. Moline Emanuel. This March, Mrs. Emanuel celebrated her 30-year milestone with CCT, and her commitment has not gone unnoticed.
Congratulations to Moline on this awesome milestone. 30 years is a lot of years. We appreciate her commitment, her dedication, and her loyalty. And guess what? She's one of the awesome women that we have here at Team CCT and 284 Media.
I want to take this time to congratulate Moline Emanuel, who has been with CCT now for 30 years. She's one of the many women at CCT that we count on and that really make this place go. We have a large collection of dynamic, professional women on our team. Is one of the reasons we've been so successful, and Moline is just one of them who happens to have been here for so many years.
To Mrs. Emanuel and all the women of 284 Media, CCT, and the Virgin Islands, happy International Women's Day and happy Women's History Month. And we close with a message from the men of 284 Media and CCT.
Sometimes women are not celebrated as they should be, but we see you. And in case no one has told you today, you're unstoppable.
You are beautiful.
You make the world a brighter place.
You're creative.
You're phenomenal.
You are unique.
Perfect.
Elegant. Hardworking.
Kind. Tú eres fabuloso.
La bendición de nosotros.
Irreplaceable.
Sophisticated. Ambitious.
Impactful to our world.
Captivating.
And you are appreciated. Thank you for all the ways you enrich our lives and society every day.
And that's it for today's news roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com and like us on Facebook at 284media and 284BVI on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Jacko Wooding. Have yourself an enjoyable evening. Goodbye.
Hon, it's asking for your password.
Huh?
You were logged out. I need the password.
BR.
What's the rest?
BRANDI, the number 4, EVER?
Who's Brandy?
We're like the password that isn't your ex-girlfriend's name. CG Insurance. Good like that.
I should have changed it.
You should have.
You're right.